I guess 4 months is better than a few years. So I think we're going to change up the format a little bit here with our Planet Coaster extravaganzas and such. Part of me wants to like hold out until Planet Coaster 2, but that might very well be never, or World War III is going to shut down the power grid before we can even get our hands on it. So let's just finish up this park and take this one day at a time. This is Minetown. This is probably one of the oldest hamlets in the park, and I really don't care for this in-game Western fence setup going on in here. I think there's a lot cleaner of a way we can do this and make it more cohesive, maybe incorporate some hardscapes and stuff. Coincidentally, that is my trade of practice, is building hardscape stuff, hardscape construction, landscape construction. So I figured, let's take some of these things that I am, well, quite literally being paid to do and incorporate it into my leisurely time, because that's what any sane human does, is they bring their work home and they just eat, sleep, and breathe their labor, which, if you want to get good at something, I guess there's really no other choice. So we're going to tear out these fences and maybe reskin the flying aces here. Not too sure about that, but the big focal point here is this train trestle or trestle, tomato, Staunton, Audi, whatever you want to call it. This train trestle is, it's vintage, I guess, because it's been in this park literally for 5 years. I started playing Planet Coaster like 6 years ago, and this has been like the only park where we've ever really made some headway in developing. But as I've revisited this park in this section particularly, I do hate this train trestle. I think all trains are heavy, and this bare bone wooden support system isn't going to hold up a concrete slab that a multi-ton train is gonna barrel over in two directions, you know. So I think we need maybe a more concrete or stone foundation going on here, and I want to incorporate some maybe portal tunnel-y things, and we can tie that into the lore that maybe this was the former entrance of the park, you know, circa Dollywood, 1980s into the early 90s. And then from there, you know, Minetown expanded out into Settlers Square, and now we have this updated, in quotations, entrance plaza to the amusement park. So, oh, and by the way, 20 episodes, you know, over the span of 4 or 5 years, that isn't a whole lot, but, you know, that is 20 of something, I guess. So I guess that calls for maybe a little bit of fanfare, but nothing super extravagant, 20 episode spectacular type shit going on. I think we're pretty much as developed as we can get, like, with this park, without squeezing some stuff in some really creative ways, maybe back in a year one day. But that is not the area of interest. We are going to focus on Minetown. So I'm going to go take care of that, and I'll be right back. See? Progress. So we went in and we tore out the trestle and redid. Oh, this is perfect timing. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay. So, like I had mentioned, we tore out the old train trestle and we put in this kind of, these stone archways. I'm not completely sold on it. I think I've heard some arguments amongst, you know, some of my buddies that I share this with, that it might, in theory, create a bottleneck to an extent. I'm not too sure about that. I mean, I feel like I made these wide enough. The radiuses are pretty good, and I mean, these are just brick pillars flipped 90 degrees horizontally, so it gives you this kind of stucco look opposed to just a couple random brick archways. Two completely different materials might clash kind of funny with what, I guess, from what I work with in my line of work, I would equate this to this kind of, it looks like a veneer. These are just the haunted house pieces, like a veneer stone, but I like to say they look like Versalock. If you aren't familiar with that is, get your landscape knowledge up. Went ahead and put this little wooden kind of canopy. It doesn't really do a whole lot. I think it just kind of maybe more or less adds a little bit of pizzazz to this, opposed to it just being some bare bone open air trestle, you know. Let's see. Like, I don't know. I think that looks okay, but this just adds something. There's something a little bit more, I don't know, old-timey Appalachia looking to this. So this has really been the focal point over the past few days, building this and redoing it, and I think I like it. I do want to add some more detail onto this kind of last little run here, the straight stretch it does over the park, because the railroad cuts dead through, not the middle of the park, but it cuts right through the middle of the park, essentially. You know, we had to elevate this to get paths under it and such, and we redid this trestle a while ago, and I think it maybe practically makes a little bit more sense. It would be this kind of open-aired iron trestle, and we could have tried to recreate that over here, but you either want that kind of continuity or you don't, and I don't. I think randomness kind of gives something character to an extent, and different time periods where these were renovated, you know, that kind of tells. If everything looks exactly the same and there's this crazy amount of cohesion, easy to go, oh, this is just a built up from, you know, ground. The entire park was built up at once, and it's kind of not what we're going for here. So that's that. I think it's okay. I think it's going to stick for now. Make some minor tweaks and modifications here and there, and we'll see where this is at in another 5 years. So we tore out a couple more trees in here, and little seat wall kind of thing, distinguishing this little, I guess, seating area and ATM area. I don't know. I just wanted to throw up as many stones as possible. Story of my life. But this is a this is a workshop blueprint mine shaft that we kind of tore out some stuff. I'll find the link and put it in the description per usual, but Old Mine number 1 just, you know, never really was a building used for the park. I guess it's more of just a scenery piece, but I felt like we needed some more mining infrastructure scattered throughout this hamlet just to maybe kind of sell it a little bit more. So I think that works okay. It kind of grows up into this massive tree here, and, you know, we can make the argument that that tree has been here a while. And here is our new seat wall. Again, we ditched the western fences, in-game western fences, and we just used these chimney pieces and some plaster wall TMTK 1x1s to kind of give you the stone cap you see on a lot of seat walls and retaining walls and stuff. And again, this is right up my alley. This is what I get paid to do, so I just figured it was an easy way to just numb the mind and do something monotonous and kill some time one evening. So I think this turned out a lot better. It just looks a lot cleaner. Metal fencing, you know, to kind of deter hooligans from chasing after lost items in the swimming pool or the splash pond, whatever you want to call it. So that runs all the way around this exposed section of the log flume, Shit Creek, Shit Water Company from the rest of Minetown, and then we just dead end it into this grade shift right here, and it just carries on with the western fence again. Kind of lazy, could have probably taken it up a lot further, but again, if you do everything and redo everything to make it look all cohesive, it just doesn't sell the realism in my mind. You know, you want some randomness and like, hey, this project was done 5 years ago, this project was done 20 years ago, different materials, different ideas, different engineers. Mass human creativity is a messy fucking thing, and nothing is ever going to look exactly how you want it to look. You got to live in the gray area and make best with what's created, I guess. So, you know, hard times led to, well, there's fucking hardscape materials more expensive. I mean, it's just the honest truth, and the labor is more expensive, so they just kept these little wooden western fences up on this back end of the expansion, which is kind of funny because this, from the Minetown Emporium right here back to the Bear, is all technically supposed to be like an offshoot that was former backstage, and then the Skyrocket was built 2015, did we claim in-game? 2015, around the same time Tempesto at Busch Gardens Williamsburg was open. So that was kind of a modern addition to this little backstage path. So it's older on the left side, a little bit newer on the right side. Yeah, that's that. So the Bear has stayed the same, all this back here. This was all redone a while ago. Went over it in the most recent park overview. I think every once in a while it'd be nice to just do a holistic park overview so you have a better sense of what's going on everywhere. And I try to keep these things uploaded and up to date on the Steam Workshop, so this episode will be no exception. But we kind of did what we wanted to do. We redid the train trestle, we added the seat walls, didn't get around to messing with the flying aces all that much, but I think it's on the itinerary. to maybe do something with this fence and all this. I'm not entirely sure, but Mothman has stayed pretty much the same. This has been in the park forever, and I think there will come a time when this gets removed and we have this massive plot of land to build something awesome and brand new. So that is out of the way. That is Minetown, but a few other things did happen just beyond Minetown and Handyman Hills between now and episode 19, and that was more hardscapes, more planter beds and stuff, like building hardscape planter beds and stuff. And again, that's like really cool, earthy, fun shit that I get to do for a living. So incorporating that into here, I kind of wanted to break up the width of these paths a little bit, and I figured, you know what, just we'll throw in some planter beds and some, you know, mature-ish looking trees so it doesn't look like this is all fresh and brand new. But this planter bed was redone with the chimney pieces, hardscape planter wall, planter bed, etc., etc. That used to just be straight-edged wooden beams that made up like 90-degree angles, and that's gross. You want curves, you want flow and stuff like that. You know, a lot of landscaping is dictating man's movement while incorporating natural elements into it, and you know, you find a lot more curves and squiggly lines in nature than you do perfectly straight lines. So just figured I'd expand this out a little bit, throw in a nice little curve, make it nice, curvy and sexy and all that fun stuff. But planter beds, some more theming details over here. Handyman Hills Labor Union, Southwest Virginia. The people lost their voice in this country when we disbanded labor unions, but I digress, we're not getting political. A new marquee for the Anthem right here. This is still technically the box office to lead you into the actual theater right here. And I think there's going to be a designated episode at some point to just tying all this in and adding our realistic details to the interiors of these buildings. Like this will be a bar, and this will be just kind of a hangout dance floor area that leads access down into the lower section of the outdoor party patio, which then in turn leads you into the music venue. So we'll this is probably my favorite little complex that I've built in the park recently. So I want to come back and really hone this in and get that done. But much like everything else with this channel, it is all up to the whim of my emotions on a given day, and we're doing good. We're doing good, boys. It's important to take care of yourself and stay busy. So that's really it. Not a whole lot, but it just felt like enough to. It would be okay to do a designated episode for all this, and just to put it back out there. Hey, we're not dead. So we're gonna have some more stuff coming here shortly, and you know, some cinematics and off rides for the rest of the roller coasters in the park. I still want to get into having all those documented and uploaded at some point. But I guess, you know, just to finish it off, we can end it with some TEGIDCAM views starting at Settlers Square and work our way around to Minetown. So let's just jump into this guy's body real quick. Officially out here. So back at the entrance of Appalachian Adventure, and you know, we got the Emporium over there, our main gate's up in here. Let's just hurry on through here. You know, not a whole lot has changed in this department, keeping the big plaza open and maintaining our sight lines, you know, down the main path draws you to the roller coasters and the trains and all that fun stuff. So just mosey on down here. We've maintained a lot of these facades here. Settlers Grill and the soda company, or the apothecary, whatever you want to call it, and what would probably be a Starbucks IRL, Radford Coffee Company. It's a local coffee company out in the area-ish from where I'm from, so I just trying to add as many little Easter eggs as possible. And one thing we've really been trying to hone in on is getting the directionally challenged through this park in an effective manner, and that would be adding as many signs as possible. And we're going to do some LED screen lit up park map things throughout the park. I know we have a couple of those peppered throughout, but let's just go ahead and jump right into the new Minetown. And it's kind of neat because if you look back on some of the older Minetown videos, on the channel. Like, I'm talking like 3 or 4 years old. This hasn't changed much. The Minetown sign and then the Mothman station just looming in the back. So I'm never gonna grow tired of this view right here. Except for right now, because I want to hurry up. But as you know, you're walking through, you got your Minetown Emporium, which will be... I'm not sure if I want to do a complete interior on this, but you'll be able to buy bypasses, which will be essentially the fast lane quick queue equivalent for this park. But, you know, you exit through the gift shop for the Skyrocket, which is, boom, right here. And I guess that would also be ADA access and bypass access. But here's the new sign, greeting from Minetown, Virginia. Since 1984, I guess that's when we're going to run with when this expansion was officially implemented. But there's our new mine tower, mine shaft, if you will. We've kept this building relatively the same up in here. And then I always try to maintain lines of sight that I've developed organically or intentionally over the past few years. And this right here, where you got the corner with the log flume, and then you got the bear lingering all the way out in the background. It's like, hell, let's go ride that cool coaster. And, you know, it's weird playing this game because you normally get an overview, like, as you're building, so I don't jump into TEGIDCAM as much as I should, but really the only view you get of this coaster is that one and this one. You know, the rest is up to you to figure out what goes on there, but it's, spoiler alert, it's a lot of old school Grizzly-esque at King's Dominion type wooden madness, so it's always fun to revisit this little corner of the park. We've got our restrooms. What's up, homie? Got our restrooms right here, built into the side of a pre-existing building, as you would normally see. You got a Bigfoot lingering in the background, and that definitely isn't a top hat to a launch coaster back there. Just playing with ideas. This building has stayed the same. I guess we can maybe name it, finally. Maybe we'll call it like the Minetown Mercantile or something like that, but I do want to work on these interiors a little bit more, and I try to integrate the in-game shop blocks, cells, whatever you want to call them, where I can. So don't expect peak realism there. I just don't have the time or the willpower to, honestly. So Flying Aces, Wade's Lodge, and Wade is again the extraterrestrial lucid traveler lore throughout the park, where all the coasters named after mythical beings in the Appalachian region. You want to see them, you go through Wade. So Wade's Lodge will embark you on a journey to find the Mothman. But here is the new train trestle. And it's pretty large, pretty sweeping, but you know, I think the open-aired canopy structure just adds something to it, and it doesn't take away from just the sheer scale and monumentous scale of Bigfoot, and fitting name, Bigfoot, big coaster. Y'all been here before, you know the drill by now, but yeah, I mean, that's Minetown. It's just really cul-de-sac / an end, dead end. That it's just a precursor to Handyman Hills. And you know, there've been times where I thought, do I just expand Handyman Hills into the Minetown section and totally ditch the Minetown thing altogether? Because you know, coal mining is a pretty big regional historical lore thing out where I'm, you know, my neck of the woods and out here in the holler and shit like that. So I wanted to maintain at least some sort of mining theme, but we kind of got landlocked sooner than I really got to thinking about how we could incorporate mine theming. So the Mothman, Schitt's Creek, the Flume, and the Flying Aces, I guess, are just gonna maintain and hold down the fort for the Minetown hamlet of this park. So, and that's okay. That's all good. So let's pass through these new portals here. And here is your new shot up Handyman Hills with your new trees and planter beds. And again, it kind of breaks it up a little bit. Just without it, this was just way too wide and way too bare. I mean, theme parks are small. They're not very big. You know, I mean, they're big in terms of acreage and stuff, but I think we might have overkilled the scale on this project holistically. So instead of having this gigantic wide open path, I just think this looks a lot nicer and more established and gives you more shade options. So we'll integrate some benches and stuff around these like you would see in real life, just to give you more seating options. But Bigfoot, got the Anthem over here. the where are you at, motherfucker? The hottest music venue in the holler. So the Anthem stays. I think that's cool. I really am looking forward to jumping back into that. You know, you got Wade's again, extraterrestrial expedition company, Bigfoot, all that fun jazz, and Aunt Mom and Uncle Dad's country store, another gift shop you must exit through on one of our marquee attractions. That'll get worked on eventually, but yeah, more signs and trying to update them. So Ramble Ridge, the second train station, Minetown Park exit, all in their appropriately facing directions. And we did a little bit of cooking over here. The Blue Ridge Coal Company. Again, I wanted to just tie in more Minetown coal-related lore, but really just adding the word coal to shit helps enough. So another marquee over here, which, you know, you'd enter down in here, and then to get down to the music venue, you would go down these steps. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get out of TEGIDCAM. And maybe wrap this thing up, I guess. I didn't realize we've been rambling for 20 minutes, so... But yeah, that's just a quick little update of what's been going on in this end of the park. And there's been more Ramble Ridge work done. I'm going to get back up here and get more work done, and we'll get a video out for all that good stuff. But yeah, still cooking, just taking our time. But it's, you know, it's a very hearty dish, right? You know, I want to give you guys as much meat and potatoes as possible. In the meantime, while you wait, just don't forget that I love you very much. I hope you're staying well. Hope you're staying healthy. And go do some badass shit. It's really all I got for you. And I will be back in a few weeks, a few months, maybe a few years even. Who knows? But Appalachian Adventure will get finished. And the conclusion, and getting to that conclusion, will find its way onto the YouTube and the interwebs and stuff. Hopefully before Planet Coaster 2 comes out. But with all that said... I think I'm going to call it a day and get to getting this out for you guys. Love and appreciate you checking it out. Love, peace, chicken grease. Stay steezy, and I will see you boys in the next one. Ciao for now.
18, commencement day, friends moved on, but she stayed.